Homies, here is a clip from my stream where I give a little bit of insight into how the top players see UCH. I talk about this kind of stuff all the time on my Twitch, so if you're interested, give me a follow. Links in the description. Enjoy. Both. I want to know both. Alright, so for this one, the trick is, it's so counterintuitive. It's actually, it's really cool. So in general, what you would think that you would want to do is use a lighter jump input because that sends you at this angle, okay? But for some reason, and I think it's because a light jump input from this height doesn't actually get you into the gap, you want to use like a 2 to 3 block jump input. You want to press the key instead of tap the key. 2 to 3 blocks from the bottom, and then you just want to do a non-sprint squeeze, okay? You want to use non-sprint. So not for this jump. When I jump from here, that's a sprint jump, okay? But the jump that comes right after, when I'm on this wall, I use non-sprint here. I'll pull up GIMP so I can quickly explain it in an effective way. All right. So let's imagine we have this wall right here. Okay. Then we have this block right here. Let's just that looks ugly as fuck. So, our character, we'll put him in green. We are right here, okay? This is us. So when we're trying to do a squeeze jump, what a lot of people are imagining is you quick jump from down here, and you get inside of the gap. Very easy. And when you're in the gap, all you need to do is jump, and then you're good. But what is actually happening with a quick jump, with a squeeze jump, is you are jumping here, okay? You are not in the gap. But then you perform... Okay, I'll make another layer. Then you perform another jump. So say you're right here, and you jump out this way, well, boom, then you hit the wall, and you're inside the gap. You're good. But the thing is, let's imagine that we squeeze jump. Maybe we're down here instead, okay? Well, then suddenly that same angle is not going to work. That same angle is not going to work. But what does work is a non-sprint jump. So this would be the angle of a sprint jump. This would be the angle of a non-sprint jump, okay? If we are super close and we're in the perfect spot, then yeah, sure. Sprint jump gets in and non-sprint jump gets in. But if we are in the wrong spot, suddenly, oh fuck. Suddenly, sprint jump bumps your head against the wall, whereas non-sprint will take you in. The differences are a little more subtle than this, but the difference in gameplay is actually pretty extreme. This makes a really big difference. Using non-sprint jumps is completely game-changing. I would say, okay, when I'm gauging difficulty, okay, I look to the margin of error. The margin of error is the amount of different locations from the wall in which I can jump and make it into the gap. The margin of error for a non-sprint jump is like 2 or 3 times as big as a sprint jump. So that means that it's 2 or 3 times easier to do squeeze jumps and just any squeezes if you're using the non-sprint jump. Now that being said, there are times where using the sprint jump is better. There are times for sure when using sprint jump is better. Okay, let's do this for example. If you have this right here, this is when you would want to use sprint. I mean, okay, a better example would be, just pretend there's an arrow right here. Pretend we need to make it through here on the first try. The thing is that when I use non-sprint, sometimes I'll stick to the leftmost wall. Not always, but sometimes it'll happen. However, if I'm holding sprint jump and I jump high enough, I'll always go to the right. So that's one thing worth keeping in mind. There are opportunities where using the sprint jump to squeeze is better, but it is very rare. Most importantly, this kind of thing is so many times substantially easier with non-sprint. And a really good example of this is which tournament was it? It was the old school tournament. Kiata won a game just because he was spamming stuff like this, and Coldheart did not know about the method. He didn't know about the non-sprint squeeze. So that messed him up a lot. Like, Coldheart, literally, like, probably the best player. Like, he's the best player of all time. There's no question. He's the GOAT of the game. And he did not know how to do it. he was not able to do the setup because he did not know the trick. That's how good the trick is. So another thing, on the term, what's the word I'm looking for? On the subject of angles, this is another time where understanding angles is actually huge, okay? And I'm gonna take a screenshot of this and load it up into GIMP. Alright, so let's imagine, I'll add another layer here that is the character. I'll add another layer that is the jump trajectory. So understanding jump trajectory is huge, is super huge in your ability to fundamentally understand how angles work. So let's go for example. When I do a really light jump input off the wall, I don't go very high. However, no matter what the wall jump is, I'm going to accelerate towards the left, or just away from the wall in general, at the same pace. So if I'm accelerating to the left at the same pace, but up slower, that basically means that my angle is going to be a lot more shallow. Whereas, for example, if I do a full jump input, that's going to give me like a 45-degree angle. I'm going to go up a lot quicker. So knowing those angles, how would we go about tackling this setup? Let's say, so we jump from over here, and our character is now right here. Oh, wrong color. So what we don't want to do, we really don't want to do this. We do not want to bump our heads against this wall. If we bump our heads against this wall, we go down into the arrow and we die. So this is when it becomes really critical to understand the different heights and angles that you get with different jump heights, okay? If I use a small jump height, I will go here. If I use a big jump height, well, this is my angle. That's not a great example there. It just narrowly clips the wall there. So if I do the small jump, suddenly I'm in a position where I can squeeze. If I do the big jump, well, I'm not in a position where I can squeeze. And it's the same thing as margin of error. So if I go down here, well, now, I mean, it'll work. If I do the small jump, this is a bad representation because I'll slide up. In this angle, the small jump will still work, but also the big jump works. So you might look at this and think, hey, the big jump works. Why would I not want to use the larger jump input? Well, it's the margin of error. The full jump input works here, but it doesn't work here. The light jump input works here, and it works here. So that was, I actually kind of got lucky there. I wanted to exemplify that using a full jump input is really hard with this setup. There we go. See, I hit the top wall. I hit the top wall here, if you didn't see it, and that brought me slightly lower. I hit the wall here instead of here. So when I do the jump upwards, it doesn't work. Whereas if I do a light jump input, assuming I don't fuck that one up, assuming I don't fuck that one up. Okay, wait, actually, there we go. You use a full jump input, stop using a full jump input for this. Full jump inputs are a lot worse for this specifically, Pi. For your squeeze, using bigger jump inputs is indeed better. Although, using a full jump input makes this harder, I think. I find that using a 2 or a 3 block jump input makes this dummy consistent. Oh god. Okay, here's me trying to use a full jump input. Ignore that. Sometimes I'm gonna make it, but it is still fundamentally a little bit harder with full. Oh, Bowser's back. Hi, Bowser. I think that mostly covers what I wanted to talk about. I could give a little bit of a lesson on how angles really work in this game. But maybe I'll do that another time. I'm probably gonna make a video out of just this little session here. I think this is a good thing worth teaching. But for now, I guess we're gonna get back to practicing. It's tournament practice time.